Hey folks, how we all doing? We're live. Let me just get the chat open actually. Yeah, hope everyone's doing okay. I think I'm on my own right now, but we will see if anyone pops in. I think I was a silly sausage today and forgot to put a post in my Facebook group that I was going live. Maybe I should do that now, just to be on the safe side. Oh, there's Saoirse. Hi Saoirse, how you doing? Lovely Saoirse's here. Oh, and I'm nearly blocking you. Putting my only viewer, blocking my only viewer from view. That's not what we want at all, is it? Right, let me, whilst I'm talking to you, I'll just do this. I'll post in the Facebook group. So I should probably grab a wee link to the live from YouTube. Let's see, it's probably going to come through. Yep. Don't want to hear myself any more than I already do. Quantum answers. Live now. I'm enjoying the chat and card Sling. Post the link. Right. It is done. Hi Donna. How are you? You doing okay? Got a wee can of iron brew here. I had a wee bit of a headache earlier, and I think it's because I'm not drinking enough. Like I've not had enough fluids today, but I don't know, a can of iron brew isn't really the best cure to that. I should really be drinking water, but here we are. But yeah, I'm actually feeling okay now. Might be to do with my glasses as well. I wasn't wearing my glasses earlier today, and I think maybe just because I'd gotten used to wearing them, my eyes had gotten used to them, and then because I've not worn them for a good bit of today, I don't know, I guess I was straining and didn't realise. Straining my eyes. Hi Jen, hope you're doing okay. Yeah, I've been off this week, been off work. It's been great. We've had a nice, lovely, mostly chilled week. What have I done since I seen you last? So Halloween was Friday. I was reading at the Witches Cove market then in the evening, and that was really good. I wasn't absolutely mobbed, but I was back to back, like constantly kept going. But I had enough clients to keep me going through the day, or through the evening. It was an evening thing, so that's ideal for me. I don't like to feel like I don't have a second, I like to take a wee minute now and then to have a browse of the stalls. Stalls, is that the right word? Like the different businesses that are trading at the market. So it was nice. It was a nice pace. So it was. Now I've left that space on my other screen there, my left-hand screen, for a reason. Oh, I know why I've left that there. Right, hold on, I need to... I'm not prepared at all. I was like... Because I've been off work, like I had the live scheduled early. I even had the spread put together and ready early. Everything was set up and ready to go. And then I went and sat on the couch and what was I doing? I was doing a bit of a mixture, playing some Pokemon Legends CA or ZA. I was on my phone. I was watching Kim from Abundant Life Tarot's live. And I think just doom scrolling as well, to be honest. So a bit of a mixture of everything, but between all that, it's kind of a like times like a black hole. Let me open this. This is what I need. This is why I've got that space. It's for the spread. Right, there we go. Okay, we don't need to do the spread just now, but I don't know if you saw my Instagram story, but I'm under strict instructions to be finished up here for 11 because it's the Traitors final tonight and we want to watch it together. So I'm going to finish at 11, then get through it, and then we're going to watch the final of the Traitors. I was talking about it last week. We've been watching the Celebrity Traitors, and it's absolutely fantastic. I've never watched the Traitors before, but now I'm obsessed. And I always resisted, like everyone always said, "Oh, the Traitors are so good. Do you watch the Traitors?" And I was like, "No, it's not my thing. I'd be uncomfortable watching it, but I'm not. I love it." But anyway. Donna's doing all right. Glad to hear it. Heather's here. Heather on Butterfly Moor. Just getting a brew of the tea variety. Very nice. Very, very nice. It's nice to see you. Jen says, do you feel like you change people's lives a lot? Was that, what do you mean when I'm reading for people? Is that what you meant? I'm not sure when you asked that. I'm assuming that it's when I was talking about doing readings for people at the markets. I mean, I would like to think that the readings are meaningful and they give people what they need. But I think it would be a bit bold of me to think that they were life-changing. I wouldn't like to think anything that I do is being life-changing. I don't know. It's an interesting question. Is that what you were? Yeah, you said yes. So yeah, that was what you were talking about. There's definitely some readings that really stand out that I can really remember. And you know, but it's funny because like they're the ones that what I remember, and I think, oh gosh, that was really good, that reading. But the chances are, and there's other readings where they feel more, I don't know, they just feel more kind of a run of the mill, or you just feel like, yeah, I could have done better there. And I've got a feeling that probably, there's probably times when you think you've done a kind of a quite run of the mill reading, and then the person's really remembered it, and it's been really meaningful for them. And on the flip side, there's probably ones where you think I really knocked it out of the park there, and they kind of forget as soon as they walk away, or like the next day, But yeah, I don't know how else to. I don't know if I've got any other thoughts on that, to be honest. Do you read professionally, Jen? Do you read for other people? And if so, do you feel like you change people's lives? Marion, our lovely Marion. Hi, Marion. How you doing? Saoirse says, great talk you did on the pips. Very clear. Delighted to hear you mentioned Vincent too. Oh yeah, I couldn't not mention him. Saoirse's talking about Vincent Petici, for anyone who doesn't know, and I mentioned him during my talk at the Glasgow Witchy Bazaar, there's a video of it on my channel. Because I really believe in the way that he taught and the method that he used. And don't get me wrong, it's not quite how I read. I don't quite stop just at the numbers, but I think it's definitely a fantastic place to start. And I can't remember if I said during the video, but there was someone that came up to me after the talk and said, that you really helped me there, because it did feel really overwhelming and complicated, but now it doesn't feel so bad. It feels like you've really kind of broken it down in a way that's easier for me to understand. And that's definitely thanks to Vincent and his teachings. So I thought it was only right to, to pay him that respect. Traitors is great fun. During market stall readings, yeah. Oh, I don't know how I'm doing it. It must be the three dots. Right, I need to try and click over to the left of the comment. That's what the issue is. Chris changes my life every day. We change people's lives all the time without knowing it. Yeah, I guess that's true. Beth is here. Hi, Beth. You doing okay? So yeah, got a couple of wee things I've written down to chat about today. One thing I wanted to ask, what I'll do, I'll throw this out and then I'll read Jen's comment. Decks and what decks you use. Do you change up your decks depending on the day, week, month, year, season, whatever? Like, do you kind of go through, like, do you use particular decks at particular times is what I'm asking, I guess. And if so, tell me about it. I'm interested. Yeah. Do we theme our decks? Do we use them at particular times? Jen says yes, I definitely have. One lady stopped by years ago and she told me she took my advice to divorce her husband. Oh wow. Wow. I've been doing astrology readings for 40 years. So do you read astrology and tarot, Jen, or are you just an astrology reader? Or do you read astrology and tarot and something else, or like what's your medium of choice? Hi, Kristen. You doing okay? See, I didn't click on that there, but anyway. So decks at particular times. So for me personally, I don't think I do. I probably do subconsciously. Like, so each time I come to my table to pull some cards or to grab decks to take to a market with me or whatever it is, each time I'm coming here in search of a deck, I'm kind of selecting decks at that particular time. And I suppose there are times when I might be more drawn to particular types of decks. So, for example, I've just done a few markets, and it's kind of a Samhain Halloween time. So I was more kind of quite selective about the decks I was using, and I tried to make sure that, like, I've got a couple of like staples. I've got a couple of like decks that I'll always take with me and I'll always have on my table or in my bag or whatever it is. But I also kind of at different times I'll have other decks with me. So like just there I had like the Jack-o'-lantern tarot, which was a gift from Cheryl, who does follow the channel and pops into the lives very occasionally. But Cheryl is someone who I met reading for her. I've read for her a couple of times, and the second time I saw her, she got me the Jack-o'-lantern tarot as a wee gift, which was so kind. Really, really nice of her. The Sleepy Hollow tarot. I was filming a video earlier on, and I was talking about using the Sleepy Hollow tarot. Sleepy Hollow tarot. Actually really surprised me. So it did. I don't know, when I first kind of opened it and went through it and did my first impressions of it, I didn't think it was going to be a particularly powerful deck or a deck that I was going to be particularly drawn to, or maybe I wasn't thinking, oh yeah, this is a deck that's going to give great readings. But my goodness, it was fantastic. Like at all three markets, I had it on my table. And yeah, it just read really, really well. During like kind of a Pride month, I'll try and have like a few like Pride themed decks. Yeah, I do. I think I do kind of on some level. I'm kind of select my decks, but then I do also have those decks that are always with me. Does that make sense? Do other people do something similar, or what do we think? So Jen says, I live by my gut instincts. Kristen is good. Donna changes seasonally. Have groups of decks that I use at different times. I also have certain decks that I use for certain purposes. Right, okay. If you're comfortable, Donna, give me a wee example. I would love to know, like, kind of what decks do you find work really well for what things, you know? Jen reads Lenormand and Tarot too. Oh, very good. Jen of many talents. Marion, I don't change my decks according to the season, etc. But I have a couple of decks I use for specific purposes, right? Okay. I change up my decks seasonally in theory, but in reality, I change them up about every 3 weeks. Right now, I'm working with Witch Sister, for example. Nice, I had the Witch Sister out yesterday. Spread This Witches, which was a YouTube channel that I followed years and years ago. They hadn't been live for a long time, like 6 or 7 years, I think. And they've kind of rebooted. They were live the other evening there. Fireworks. Sorry if you're hearing that. So it's fireworks just now. As you'll know, but the fireworks here are pretty bad. So my dogs are terrified of them. They just bark at them. So we're probably going to hear them at various points through the live. Sandy will try and keep them through there, but there's not really much we can do about it, you know. Thankfully, we've never had complaints from neighbours about them barking. Touch wood. But yeah, it's not the best. Like last night, which was obviously Guy Fawkes, like it was like a war zone. Like, and I don't say that lightly, but like when we went out with them to kind of do their final P's, you know, their final walk, it was like constant bang, 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 bang. That was the frequency, and like the air was all smoky. You could smell the fireworks on the air. It was ridiculous. It was honestly ridiculous. It's how I would imagine. What was that time in London? When it was all smoky, during Winston Churchill's kind of a era. They did an episode of it on the Queen, the Netflix series. But that's how I would imagine it to have been, something similar to that. Honestly, really, really bad. And I feel for them because obviously they're hearing what we're hearing, but amplified. So the poor things are terrified. Anyway, sorry, I went off on a tangent, as always. Usually stick with Lenormand, but I go with whatever speaks to me, and depending who I'm dealing with and what their questions are. I definitely do feel like Lenormand is kind of it's all cartomancy, but it's a different beast to tarot. And it's good for different questions, just in my experience. It's good for different types of questions, but it'll also answer questions in a different way. My deck changes are utterly random. I started talking about Spread This Witches. So they went live, the whole point, they went live the other day, and they were talking about the Witch Sister Tarot, and that was what made me want to kind of take it off the shelf and have a wee pull a card with it and have a wee rummage through it. So that was the point in that, but then I got off on a tangent. And this is one of those rare times when I actually remember and circle back to what I was talking about. Really warm. I got some great readings from The Legend of Sleepy Hollow Tarot also, says Donna. Yeah, it's a good one. Definitely rotate decks as I like to make use of my collection. I find I'm drawn to different colour palettes throughout the year based on how much light I have to read. Okay. Fair enough. That's a good point, actually. Like, depending on how light it is, It's interesting that influences your deck choices. Usually don't read face to face, says Jen, so decks just come to mind. Okay. Which sister is hard for me to read? I haven't been able to get into it, says Kristen. I think because it's kind of like her other deck, Julia's other deck, the Hidden Realms. It's all faces, which really works so well for some people, and I think for other folks, it's maybe makes it a bit more challenging, a bit more of a challenging read because it's not scenes and actions and so it's different. It's different. Also, we'll use a bunch of decks in one reading. Yeah, I tend to use at least two. I always pull a card from the soul cards, and I always use a tarot deck. And then depending on the reading, I might get them to pull a card from. So the last couple of times I've been there, I've been using the Sacred Creators Oracle by Chris Ann. And the Radley Valentine Angel Tarot cards. And I like them because they've got messages on them. So it's like a wee thing for them to read. And I remember reading for a lady and like she loved her reading and she was such a lovely person. But it was the Angel Tarot card with the message at the bottom that made her go, like, I think it was I'm not going to start getting into what a reading was about, but it was just that message, and that was right at the end of the reading, but that just really hit her right here and really hit home. And she was like, oh, that was meant for me. That was meant for me. So I think they can be a really powerful tool. So yeah. I have a group of decks that I use for ancestor messages, says Donna. Nice. The dogs, yeah, I know it's murder. Commonly use Supralinaris for professional readings. I like how approachable and diverse it is, says Kristen. The Blitz, that's it, that's what I'm thinking of. Thanks, Marianne. And I love to use the Queer Tarot during June and July Pride Month season. Fifth Spirit is on my desk for the rest of the year. Yeah, so I'm kind of the opposite way around. The Pride no, wait. The Queer Tarot, the Queer Tarot by Ash and Chase, or Chase and Ash. That deck is always with me, and I've always got it on my table when I'm reading for people. Or pretty much always. And it's one of my most popular decks. Like, it's the one that a lot of people will gravitate towards. I think because it's got that kind of a hippie, like, 70s type vibe because of the colours and stuff. And then I think it's the Fifth Spirit, the one with Charlie Claire Burgess. Yeah, that's one. This is less regular. I tend to just use this at particular times. Winston Churchill era, that would be the Second World War. Christopher. Well, he was the Queen's first Prime Minister, sure. Queen Elizabeth II, he was her first Prime Minister. So, like, he was after the Second World War as well. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. I think it is the Blitz. I think. I don't do many readings for other people, but I have a couple of decks I like for that purpose. One is the Unfolding Path, but I wouldn't use a deck like Marielle for others. Okay. Folks, I don't know. There probably are decks that I wouldn't use for other people. And sometimes, like, I can look at a deck and say, I'm not that. That's not that's not one I'm taking with me or one that I'm going to use for others. Sometimes I'll think this deck will be good for other people, and then I do one reading with it, and it's like, no, that wasn't quite right. That didn't feel. I wasn't feeling the vibes. So yeah, I think it just, sometimes you just got to try it and see, haven't you? I always put all 36 cards out, so like a grand tableau. I really dislike fireworks, says Beth. They're so intrusive and actually cruel to animals. Wild animals get so disoriented. I have to give my dog trazodone. Ugh, that's a shame. Oh, hi Gerald, how you doing? Just bought the Shadow Journey Tarot. I blame Chris and Jamie. I mean, I give credit to Chris and Jamie. The Shadow Journey Tarot. The Shadow Journey Tarot. Do I have that deck? Shadow Journey Tarot. Gosh, that's terrible. Shadow Journey Tarot. Someone enlighten me. Am I being really dense here? Shadow Journey Tarot. Is this a sign that I've got too many tarot decks when someone says a deck and I can't think whether I've got it or not? My favourite to go deck is the Anna K. Nice. It's a lovely deck. Oh, hi Jelly, how you doing? Because there's so much directionality right in the Anna K. Jelly loves the Anna K. Actually, just speaking of the Anna K, and Jelly pops in, but Jelly does love the Anna K, I'm sure, or did. I remember when I first started my channel, I showed it and used it, and I remember you saying you really liked it. But is it still a deck that you really, really like, Jelly? Do you still use it often? I use the vintage tarot in the fall and winter because of the colours. I also have been using the Chthonic Persephone deck. Nice. It's not a deck I've heard of, but I love anything Persephone in Greek. Visual can be important to both client and reader. Do you guys let people touch your decks? Yeah, I do. I insist on it. I want them to properly shuffle those cards. I want them to get their stink all up in the cards. Like, I want them well and truly mixed into those cards. If I can. If I'm reading face to face, then yeah, I'll always hand them the cards and get them to shuffle them. And everybody always says, "Oh, I'm rubbish at shuffling," but I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's just give them a shuffle. But yeah, I like it, and I think it's nice for the client, the querent, whatever you want to call them, to feel like they're part of the process. It's very, very rare that someone will not want to shuffle the cards. I've had a few people who I've had to kind of convince that it'll be fine. Like, you're just a bit of my hair sticking up. Let's get on there. There we go. Can't be doing that. I need to look all beautiful for you. Yeah, I've had a few people who I've had to say, it'll be fine. Just give them a shuffle. But yeah, for the most part, people will happily shuffle them. Hi Emmy, how you doing? I read for other people and they really love the Seasons of the Witch Winter Tarot, says Beth. I give them a choice and they always choose Charm and Folk Art, really. Oh, okay, interesting. I always give people a choice. I've always got, like, Marion will tell you, she slags me off because I've always got way too many tarot decks on my table. But I've got a choice of 4 tarot decks for people to choose from for the main reading to be with. And then I've got like other decks like the Soul Cards, the Sacred Creators Oracle, and the Angel Tarot that I was talking about. Like, they'll be at the other side, just to my side for me to use. But then I'll usually have like 4 or 5, maybe sometimes 5 tarot decks for the client to have a look at. I'll say, have a look, like, pick them up, have a thumb through, get a feel for the artwork and see what you like, what speaks to you. And I'll ask them to pick the deck. And then the reading starts. Marion says, I don't let people touch my decks. I also work online mostly, so it's not an issue. Fair. It's on Kickstarter. Is that Shadow Journey tarot Gerald was talking about? I always bring the Anna Kay to read for others. I just am so attached to that deck. Nice. Love the Anna Kay. It's a full deck for me, says Jilly. Oh, hi Cheryl, how you doing? Hope you're doing okay. Lovely to see you. If in person I use certain decks, I shuffle, but I let people cut the right. Okay, fair enough. It's good to let them feel that they've put their energy into it. If online, I tell the person to tell me when they want, tell me when to stop, and if they want me to cut and how many times. Right? Okay, cool. Oops. I bring certain decks to work or out and about that I'll let people touch, but not every deck is for public. Yeah, same, Emmy. There's definitely decks that I wouldn't want people to be messing with, but those are decks that I wouldn't take with me when I'm reading for other people. So Donna likes the idea of having people tell you when to stop. Maybe a different one. The Shadows We Cast, a Starseeker tarot deck on Kickstarter. Nice. I'll maybe check that out later. Cool. Well, it's good to know what people do in terms of like swapping out their decks and how people use them. Heather's asking, do you cleanse the deck in between clients? Isn't it difficult if in busy public setting? I do reflexology and I find I need a real break in between clients. I mean, I guess, yeah, but I don't need to use anything except I just shuffle the deck. For me, that's my way of resetting it. And I suppose, bringing it back to zero after each client. I don't need to smoke it or, smoke it. You know what I mean? I don't need to use incense smoke. I just had this weird image of me putting a tarot deck in a spliff or something and smoking it. Sorry, my mind went there. I don't need to run the cards through smoke or anything like that, but that's not part of my practice anyway. That's not something I do at any time. So yeah, I'll I always try and remember and ask the client if they want to take a picture of their cards, and then I'll put them away. And you'll have seen the way that I put cards back in the deck. I'll show you what I mean. You know exactly what I mean. I don't just clump them onto the top. I put them back at various points in the deck. So you can go there. Oh, sorry, I've had people watching me on Insta, and as usual, I'm not my best at keeping an eye on it. So Reels NNN joined, Anor Zirk joined, Why the Doily, which is Emmy, who also said hi on YouTube, just doing a sneaky watch at work. So that's fun. Right, where is my OBS? Everything's all over the place. Right, there we are. So, no, that's not what we want. So yeah, if I've these are the cards I've used in the spread, then rather than just putting them on top and then shuffling, I'll go through the deck and put the cards in different places, like that. And then I like to do a wee riffle shuffle. As you know, I love my riffle shuffles. And some overhands. Usually 4 overhands feels about right for me. And then that will then go back onto the pile for the person to look at and if they decide to pick that deck, then I'll give it a shuffle first, going through that process again. And then I'll hand it to them to shuffle. So by the time I'm using the deck to read again, it feels like it's totally cleansed, if you want to use that word, like reset. So yeah, that's a very long answer to a very simple question. I always cleanse the deck between clients, says Beth. If I'm at the shop, I use a bell and I put selenite on the cards. If I'm at home, I also hoover it over a candle. Beth. Now, Beth. People that use bells and whatever, all manner of noisy instruments when reading it. I suppose reading in a shop, if you're the only reader there, that's fair enough. And if you're in your own space, then obviously. But I see people that bring bells to these markets that I'm reading it, and you get bells going off. There's someone who brings maracas, I swear. I'm not even joking. Like, I'm like, enough, stop. I'm not a bells person, but to each their own, as long as it's not perforating my eardrums. Donna says that's what I do too. Put the cards from the reading randomly back into the deck. Yeah, Marion, Chris loves a wee bell or cymbal. Yeah, bells, tambourines, cymbals. You name it. Put cards here and there, yeah. That's the best way to do it, because then you know if two cards come out the same again, you know that it was like meant to, and you know that it's not just that you've not shuffled it right. My forehead's very shiny today, isn't it? A particularly shiny forehead. So yeah. I wanted to talk to you about something else as well, by the way. Albert says, I'm the only reader, and I'm in a little room off from the shop. I also teach yoga and ring tingshas after class. Amy says sounds very dramatic. I wanted to share, so on Tuesday, I can't remember if I told you I was going to do this, but on Tuesday I went to my friend Kelly from Saturn Therapies and got a past life regression reading. So I know Kelly from doing markets. Kelly's another reader at the markets that I do. But she does these past life regression, and she does other treatments as well. She does other things as well. What I'll maybe do actually is find a wee... I'll get a link to her. There you are. Just going to put a wee link to our website in the chat for you all. Where are you? There you're there. Right, that's Kelly's website. So, and she does these sessions online, you know, as well as face to face. But she's got this, like, not hut, but this kind of a freestanding. I don't know what you call it. What do you call it? These things that everybody's setting up in their gardens these days to like work from home in and stuff. It's kind of like a big hut or shed. I don't know what the right word is. Anyway, she's got one of them in her garden, and it is beautiful inside. It's kind of like it's not quite been hypnotized, right? But it's in that vein. It's kind of like a meditation to kind of make you go deep within. And you kind of start off looking at, talking about or looking at memories, your own memories from your past and stuff. And then you're prompted to go, beyond, as in like before. And this information comes up about your past lives, about different lives that you've lived. And honestly, some of the information that came out in my mouth when I was just like, you know how sometimes, like, I mean, I think with all these things, there's always a small part of your brain that's like, but was I just making that up, or was there a part of me that was just, do you know what I mean? But and see if there was like bits of what I was saying where I could see, right, well, I've said that because of that thing, and I've said that because I saw that in that film, and I've said that because of, if I could, if it was like that, then I would be like, right, okay, I'd be inclined to think that it's just my kind of a storytelling brain making things up or something, my creative brain. But just like the things that came up in my reading were, some of them like really quite harrowing, really quite disturbing, to be honest with you. It was quite like even Kelly said, like, you know, there was some points when I wasn't sure whether we should keep going or but such an amazing experience and so interesting, and it's made me want to delve deeper into, you know, some of the lives that came up. So I've got a oh, the lighting just changed there. I've got a video because she recorded it, and I've, you know, so I've got the recording, and I'm going to maybe like kind of edit it, and maybe show bits of it. I'm kind of lying reclined on this chaise lounge, so it's not a flattering look. So I'll need to go over that first before I'm going to be sharing anything. But yeah, obviously some of the stuff that comes up is quite personal as well. But I want you to see, like, I want you to get a feel for what it is like, you know, going for this reading, because I'm so glad that I did it. That was really good of Kelly to reach out and, well, yeah, to offer to do the reading for me. So I wanted to share that with you, because I want to let you know about Kelly and the you know, the what she does, but also it was just so interesting. I'm interested in what other people's thoughts are, and, you know, is this something that any of you have done? Do you believe in past lives? What's your thoughts, and what do we think about the whole thing? And is it something that you're interested in doing? Let's see. So that it's not like I'm the Hunchback of Notre Dame, for goodness sakes. It's Beth. Well, I'll tell you, Beth, that's the way it feels sometimes. Not you, obviously, but when other people use like their dinging bells, it feels like Quasimodo's like ringing the church bells. An outdoor treatment room, yeah, that's probably a good thing to say. What did you say? What did I say? What? So interesting. How many lifetimes did you see? So there was one. I think there was three. If I remember rightly, there was no. Hang on. There's four. There's four that I remember off the bat. Yeah, four. I think four was how many we went into. Yeah, just really, I went into it like, I was a bit nervous, to be honest, because I wasn't sure what to expect, and I was a bit worried that I was going to be rubbish. I said that to her. She said, "Have you got any questions?" I said, "Yeah, what if I'm crap at it? What if I'm rubbish?" And she just laughed, and she said, "Well, it's, you know, you don't need to worry about that. You just kind of say what you're seeing and what you're experiencing," and yeah. But yeah, so I didn't really know what to expect going in, but I'm so glad that I did it, and I'm glad that I did it with Kelly, and because I think she was really good at it. She's a really good guide, and I just felt like well looked after, that way. Jen says, I can't be hypnotised. Hypnotised isn't the right word, Jen. It was more just like going into a meditation. I don't know. I wasn't. I was totally conscious at all times, like aware, aware at all times. Do you know what I mean? Like she couldn't have had me up and dancing about the place or anything like that. Like I was aware and I was in control. But then I suppose anyone who's hypnotized says that, don't they? But like that is what it was, and that was what she said before. She says you're not going to be dancing about like a chicken or anything. Heather says, sounds really sounds really mind-blowing. Great that she recorded it so you can go over it and follow through the feelings it brought up. Yeah, definitely. What came out of your mouth? You said, what came out of your mouth? What did you say? What came out of your mouth? I'm not sure if you're asking that based on something that I said. If you're asking me what I was saying, what I said during the experience, like it was like, gosh, it actually lasted a lot. That was another thing. I thought I was maybe there for like an hour, maybe a bit over an hour. But my appointment was at 12, so I got there at 12. And when I was leaving and looked at the clock in the car just as I was driving away from our house, it was like 20 minutes to 3. So that was like 2.5 hours, a good 2.5 hours, just over 2.5 hours I was there. And I would never have thought in a million years that was how long. So yeah, I've had a couple of past life regressions. I met my husband from a past life and this life. Tell you about it sometime. He recognised me from it too. Wow. Yeah, I think some of my past lives have been some not very nice people, is what I've come to realise. So yeah, there was it was weird because like you're seeing things and there was some I was experiencing. It was as though it was like first person. I was in those shoes, to speak figuratively. I was seeing it from my past lives point of view, and then there were some of them where I was looking at it from above, like from a third party perspective. And it was the ones that were not nice people. It was the ones that were bad people. I was seeing them from a third party perspective. Kelly said, like, that's your subconscious's way of protecting you, kind of. Did you recognise anyone from this lifetime and past life? Yeah, so one of them, it was the weirdest thing, right? Because like it was a past life, and I was quite a young kid, and I was on like a beach with my family, and it was like I had 2 siblings and a dad and a mum, right? Now the 2 siblings weren't my siblings, and the mum wasn't my mum, but the dad was my dad. Like it was the most bizarre thing. Like that was my dad. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it was odd. It was strange. And it's still quite difficult to get your head around. Kelly, she said, like, you've got your kind of a soul connections, your soul family almost type thing, where you'll meet again in different iterations of life. She probably didn't explain it quite like that, but that's my bad job of of retelling the message. But yeah, my dad was there in that life, and that was, I kind of got the sense that life actually ended really young. Because like I said, you know, we were on this beach, and I was like, my siblings don't, like, they're doing stuff, and my parents are kind of looking after they're concerned with them, and I'm a bit bored by it. So I'm kind of I'm off doing my own thing, but I managed to get myself like kind of a trapped or lost, or, you know, trapped in this cave thing. That's kind of like, you need to go under the water to get to it almost. And there's a sense of panic because I don't know how to get back out. And when she was like, right, well, you know, take yourself forward, like, what happens next? Or like, and I was like, I can't, it's blank, there is no next. It's like, I actually don't know if I make it out of this place. So yeah, it was things that, you know, it's quite a unique experience, put it that way. I've always thought that I had enough baggage to deal with in this life, but perhaps addressing past lives helps deal with the present. Definitely, yeah. I think looking at your past lives can definitely help you unpack, and it can give you tools to deal with stuff that you're going through in this life. But also, it's interesting to see some of the stuff that you've worked through and you've moved past in order to get to where you are now. So yeah, it's I think it's definitely, whether you believe literally in the concept of having lived a past life, or whether you see it as a big like metaphor, or, you know, like, I think it can be helpful either way, is the point that I'm making. I think that it can help you, it can, you know, it can arm you, it can give you the tools to deal with things that you maybe wouldn't have had otherwise. So I would recommend it regardless of your, you know, your beliefs on the matter, your core beliefs. I've heard that sometimes we make agreements with other people to come here to do difficult things to them, like sell our kids drugs that kill them. I've heard that sometimes we make agreements with other people to come here to do difficult things. So like a contract that goes beyond. I don't know how you would do that though. I don't know. I obviously don't understand everything, but I don't know how you would agree to do something in another life. Do you know what I mean? Maybe when you're doing it, like, so there's this kind of a concept of a life review that you do at the end of each life. And maybe there's something that happens there, but it's like before you move into the next life, there's like some sort of like agreement, but I don't know why you would do something that's so objectively like repugnant. Do you know what I mean? Like, so objectively negative and evil. We can get into a whole philosophical discussion about whether there is any objective evil, but that's something to table for another day, I think. Yeah, a contract between lives. Yeah, so that was my past life regression. So anyone who's curious, highly recommend. Whether you find someone local to yourself to do it in person, or if you're happy to do something online, then have a wee look at Kelly from Saturn Therapies. Our website is in the chat. Really lovely person, and very, you know, a really gentle but like strong guide, is what I would say. Okay. So like I say, I might put together a wee video. I probably will put together a video with parts of that. Probably won't just show it all. But definitely I think I'd like to show you bits of it. I think that would be really interesting for folk to see. I'm not sure when. I do have the video, but I'll need to. That's probably one that will take me kind of going through carefully and finding the bits that I want to put in. So leave that with me, and you'll see that appear at some point. That's when you access your Akashic records, because not everyone would take on the bad karma in order to help someone else. Can she do this remotely? I believe so. I would need to check. I'm quite nosy. Yeah, she does. She absolutely can, because she offered to do mine remotely. I don't know why I'm acting so unsure about that. Yeah, because we weren't sure initially whether we were going to do mine remotely on Zoom or in person, and we decided to go in person. But yeah, she can absolutely do it remotely. Marion says Kelly's wonderful. Even I like her, and I don't like hardly anyone. So there you go. If that's not a glowing review, then I don't know what else is. So yes, she absolutely can do it remotely. And she should. I'm sure she does like a kind of a consultation. You know, a kind of a consultation, like a pre-consultation before it. You know, to kind of I guess just set up and talk about what your needs would be and stuff like that. So highly recommend you look it up. What else did I have? Right, okay, do you know what? We're going to move on and do the spread. I'm going to keep this moving because I want to finish by 11, because Sandy's asked me to, and I'm looking forward to the traitors. I'm going to use this Sugar Skull deck. I don't know if you saw, but I put a wee thing up on my story on Instagram. I've been corner rounding it, and I'm such a nerd. I was like, I'm going to time myself doing these, and I was like, you know, if I can get 4 done a minute, then I'll be happy with that. And that was my average. Like, I was like, right, okay, I've got 44 left, so that means if I do them in the next 11 minutes, then I'm doing 4 a minute. And I smashed it. It was like, so I was like, so if I'm done by 21 minutes past, then I know that I've hit my target. And lo and behold, it was 21 minutes past when I finished. So, me, such a loser. So, yeah, we're going to use this now. Do you know what I keep meaning to do, actually? I keep meaning to have a go at... So, obviously, I've got this kind of a landscape which is optimal for YouTube, but you can have it on like portrait mode, which is better for things like Instagram and TikTok and that. And I know that YouTube can kind of have the video so as that it is like, so as that portrait mode works. I just don't know, because I'm so used to having it this way. I'm like, I don't know whether I want to change it, but I'm kind of tempted to give portrait mode a go and see, like, if the YouTube people all hate it and want me to change back, then we will. But yeah. Anyway, I don't know why I mentioned that now, because I'm not going to change it right now. He says I've got to go. Mr. Scorpio's been needy. Right. Enjoy the rest of your evening, Marion. Okay, so I've got a wee tarot spread for you. It is going to be Dia de los Muertos themed, because we are kind of in that time. Dia de los Muertos was 4 days ago on the 2nd of November, so Sunday, I think. Or it was over that weekend. So who's pulling cards with me? Let me just make sure that I do have friends and that I'm not doing this myself. Who's pulling cards with me, and what deck are you using? Don't know why I'm changing to that now, because it's not as if you can see me shuffling. So it's kind of pointless. Stick that one there, actually. Who is pulling cards and doing the spread with me? It says, I am, in capital letters. What deck are you using, Beth? Warm. Donna's got Tarot Grand Lux. Jelly is multitasking, so won't be doing the spread tonight. Beth has got the Magic Makers deck. Very nice. And Jen is going to be using the Anna K because it's sitting right there. Good. Good stuff. Right, okay, so this spread, as I say, I was going for a kind of a Dia de los Muertos themed kind of a spread. So the idea is to honor and get wisdom from our ancestors. And yeah, just to kind of reflect on our life, their life, and what they can teach us, I guess. Jane says, why is it warm there? Well, apparently it was the warmest Guy Fawkes night in recorded history for us yesterday. It was interesting. But it's warm in this room because, like, I've got lights on and 3 screens, a computer running. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's warm because it's always warm in this room when I'm doing this. But yeah, I'm tempted to open the door, but I don't want to, because if a firework goes off, it's obviously going to be much louder for the dogs. So yeah. Amy has got Centennial in a tin. Tried to be stealthy here at work in the guild department. Cool. So I suppose just before you start, different people will have different rituals that they follow and stuff, but before we start, it maybe just be an idea to kind of take a couple of, a wee moment, close your eyes, do whatever feels right to you, and just reach out, ask your ancestors for the help, for the wisdom, and I guess just to look after you during this reading. That's what I always do before I read at market. It's always kind of just have a wee moment, I zone out for a wee bit, and I think, right, to my dad and my 2 grands, like, right, keep your eye on me, make sure that this goes okay, help me out here, type thing, yeah, well, it's never put me wrong, it has. It's always been helpful. So the first card, or do I want to, am I feeling a wee bit different tonight? I've got a feeling that we might be quite quick because there's only 4 or 5 of us pulling cards. So what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to pull a wee soul card to kick us off. So this is like a combination of soul cards 1 and 2. It's not quite all of them. The full thing is a 120 card deck. There are some cards that I've taken out just because I feel like they don't speak to me as much. But then maybe I should go through that other deck and just do a wee bit of a review of that. because what I felt didn't speak to me before might not necessarily still be the same now. Okay. Whew. Right there. Look at that. It's like a death card from the tarot, isn't it? I suppose it's quite apt when we're talking to our ancestors, to our beloved dead, but it's somewhat on the nose. So that makes me think, right, there's no holds barred here, we're not holding back, we're going, you've asked for an ancestor reading, we're going to strip right down to the bone. So yeah, I'll pop that there for now. I'll maybe stick this light on. What's one more light? Let's see. I'm just going to quickly look and see if I can get rid of my name, because I think you know my name. I don't need to have it on the options. Nope. No, let's chat. Oh well. Maybe next time I'll look at taking that off. Okay, right. Where's my tarot deck? There it's there. Card 1 is the ofrenda. So this is past influences and honouring ancestors. It represents the foundational influences from your ancestors, your family, and past experiences that have shaped who you are today. It also speaks to what you need to acknowledge to honour from your past to move forward. This is all about our past, our ancestors' past, and what wisdom or lessons does that have for me today? Okay, so I've got Temperance reversed. What I'm going to do, I am going to pop this in the chat for you. Okay, Temperance reversed. Temperance reverse makes me think of being quite unbalanced, being conflicted. The phrase that comes to mind is conflict of interest, which is obviously a very kind of a specific, and makes you think about specific things, but like, it kind of makes me think of like the balance isn't quite right, and it's affecting how you're acting now. Do you know what I mean? So imagine, like, in the conflict of interest example or metaphor, if you know that there's a conflict of interest and you continue to act on that, it's probably going to feel off, and you're going to know that there's something's not going to feel right. And you know that you're going to be influenced, perhaps, and you can't be objective, and you're going to be influenced in the wrong way. So that's kind of what that's saying to me. That's saying to me that there's an influence from my past that's I'm conflicted on, and it's maybe affecting how I'm acting, how I carry myself, or how I act in a particular situation today. So my job throughout this, I guess, is going to be to identify what that is and how can I, how can I, how can I make the most of that message? it's all very well to say, right, well, you're conflicting and you can't act objectively. Well, great, but like, what can I do about that then? Okay, so Donna's got the Emperor reversed for your first card. So maybe you have a bit of an Emperor reversed in your ancestral line. Maybe there is I think of like Emperor reversed as being overly controlling, a bit of a tyrant maybe, but definitely very like kind of a you need to do things their way or no way. But I also kind of get a bit of a what's the oh, it's just gone out my head. Like double standards. That was what I was trying to think of. I was like the Emperor is like very calculating, very savvy about what he's doing, and when he's out of balance, when he's unbalanced, like when he's in reverse, he can he doesn't always play by his own rules, and can be quite a formidable, sometimes dangerous character. Um, so that is interesting. But for Beth, what do you think, Donna? Because you'll be better placed than me to kind of take context from that card. Like, what do you think that means? Two cards flew out. It could also be like a bit of a rule breaker, because the Emperor's like the keeper of rules. So when he's in reverse, it can just represent like being a bit of a rule breaker, can't it? And like being a rule breaker isn't always a bad thing. So 10 of Wands and 2 of Pens. Right. Okay. To me, that's a very clear message, Beth, of like you're taking on far too much. Like both of those cards speak to me of the need to slow down and prioritize what you're doing. Only take on the tasks that are actually serving you. Don't feel that you need to take on everything yourself all at once. Don't have this kind of a mentality of, if I want it done right, I need to do it myself. That's not going to help you. That's not going to help anyone. You need to, and whatever the reason is that you do feel the need to kind of take things on yourself, that you need to work through that. It might be like you've been burned in the past when you've trusted someone to do something for you, or it might be that there's a bit of martyrdom there, where it's like, I'll just deal with all this. Don't worry about me. No, don't help me. But yeah, there's definitely like, to me, that's like loud and clear. You take on too much. You take on too much responsibility yourself. It makes me think you need to be more authentic or come from a place of more intuition. Is that mine, Jen? I'm going to use my new Black Ritual Tarot, or Black Ritual Tea, says Marita. Oh, hi, Marita, by the way. Grab a deck, you're just in time for the spread. We're on the first question. We sure are. Jen, you've got the 9 of Pentacles. So it feels like you've worked really hard for a really long time. You've built up all these resources, and now it's time for you to enjoy those resources, enjoy everything that you've built up. Like slow the pace a wee bit and enjoy the life that you've worked hard to build for yourself. The Fool for Heather. The Fool. So, I mean, that's like very... So, what wisdom or lessons do my ancestors offer me? What aspects of my past need to be acknowledged or healed? So it sounds like your ancestors want you to be a wee bit more spontaneous and a wee bit less like some of us like fly by the seat of our trousers and just kind of can throw ourselves into anything, and then some people feel the need to constantly plan every single aspect of everything that they do out in advance. There needs to be like a 10-point plan for every change, every decision. And it feels like maybe your ancestors want you to be a wee bit more spontaneous, a wee bit more like, right, we're going to take a wee risk here, you know? Maybe they're like, you'll enjoy life better if you'll enjoy life more if you're kind of just inject some of that spontaneity into things. It's not saying like you never engage your logical brain again and never have any kind of a thought process behind anything. It's not that at all, but it's just like a wee bit more of that kind of a full mentality would maybe be quite helpful for you. Donna says, I think there have been several reversed emperors in my ancestral line, including quite recently. Right, okay. Okay. Amy, Three of Wands, some stuff to unpack here about legacy of colonialism, etc., and my ancestors' role in it. Okay. So a wee bit of like standing by the sidelines and watching things happening, do you think? Two of Swords, that's interesting. I have kind of a hard time with my ancestors, says Marita. Right, okay. And Donna says, I mean, in the controlling sense. Yeah, no, I definitely, I know what you mean. Totally understand. Beth says, I was the only child of an alcoholic. My ex-husband travelled for work constantly. I'm very used to doing things myself. Right, okay. Totally get that. And that was regarding my temperance reverse, right, okay. So they need to be more authentic. Okay, great. That was a good start. The next card is the Monarch Butterfly. So this is a powerful symbol of the journey of the soul, transformation, and connection between life and death. It speaks to your current path of transformation, letting go and embracing change. So the questions that you want to ask yourself here are, what transformations am I currently undergoing? What do I need to release to allow new growth? Now I've got the world reversed. So there's something here for me to do. Sorry, I'll put this in the chat whilst I'm talking. But there's something to do with for me, the world is changing up, you know, the physicality, the physical location, that, you know, how you're doing things. Do you know what I mean? It's not that you're doing things wrong. It's kind of a like it's not that you're, what am I trying to say? Like, it's not that you're doing the wrong thing, but you're maybe just doing it in the wrong place or at the wrong time, you know? It's like everything's working towards your bigger purpose, but we just need to be a wee bit more directed about it. You're not quite where you need to be. You're doing the right thing, but you're not quite where you need to be, whether that's a metaphorical thing or a you know, a literal thing. So yeah, interesting, because I don't have any plans to uproot just now. It's not something I've been particularly interestingly. I was looking at like one of the houses in this complex has come up for sale, and I was looking at it. But like just out of curiosity and nosiness, really, rather than any kind of a serious intention to go and you know, to think about moving there. But yeah, I suppose it could just be about like kind of creating the right environment, you know, creating the right environment to allow you to thrive. So for the second one, Beth has got the world as well. Interesting, Beth. Samesies, although you've got the world upright, I'm guessing. So you're right where you need to be. Like, the world is like the culmination of everything, you know, all of the hard work that you've put in, the journey that you've been on, everything that you've been doing. It's like you're right where you need to be. So you probably have that in terms of the kind of taking on a lot. You probably have been working on that a lot. You know, you probably. I'm just repeating myself over and over again here. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, you've probably already put a lot of work into that. Do you know what I mean? You're probably aware of it. You're probably very self-aware, very conscious of it, and you've put in a lot of work. Let's see, the Emperor reversed and then Strength. So again, Donna, you as well. So where you had the Emperor reversed for the past influences, but where you are now is a place of strength, power, and confidence in yourself, which is amazing. Particularly when we see like that Emperor influence, you know, that controlling influence from the past. To know that you're currently in a place of, you know, power, self-empowerment, and strength, I think is a really good thing. Yeah, I really love that for you. It's 9 of Pence and then 6 of Swords for Jen. So the 9 of Pence was just appreciating, like, you know, how hard you've worked in the past, and, you know, everything that you've done to get yourself to where you are now. And the 6 of Swords is the current. So this is like, I think of the 6 of Swords as being about creating a safe space for yourself in order to get back some psychological safety and harmony. So the 6 of Swords comes right after the 5 of Swords, which is a really tough, difficult time. It's like, it's defeats, it's challenges, it's defeats, it's like cruel, like it's a cruel defeat. It's not a nice kind of a thing to go through. And the 6 is just the represents the healing from that. So you probably find that in order to get yourself to your 9 of Pentacles place, you've gone through a lot. You know, it's taken a lot out of you. But you're now in a place where you can enjoy everything that you've worked hard to build, but also you can heal from the toll that it's taken on you. 2 of Swords and then 8 of Swords for Marita. So that makes me think, 2 of Swords makes me think that the past influence, there was a choice that had to be made. And if you're now in the place of the 8 of Swords, that makes me think, did you make the choice? Or did you leave yourself in that stalemate? Because if it was the 2 of Swords and then, like, I don't know, something that represents drastic change, or even like big, like, difficulties, like challenges, then I'd be like, right, that's that plaster being ripped off. That's that kind of that 2 of Swords, that stalemate's been broken. Those 2 swords have been broken through. Whereas from the 2 to the 8, we're still kind of almost in this mental prison. So it makes me think, has there been a decision or a decision that's had to be made that you've struggled to actually pin your colours to the mast and make the decision? I don't know. And Heather, you've got the 7 of Pentacles reversed. What was your first card again? The Fool. Fool, and then the 7 of Pentacles reversed. Okay, interesting. So when we talked about the Fool, we said, okay, is that the need to be more spontaneous? But given that you're now in a place of 7 Pentacles reversed, the 7 of Pentacles reversed for me is like putting in a whole load of work and getting very little out of it. It's like the amount of energy that you're putting in doesn't match at all what you're getting out of it. So now I'm thinking, so in the past, have we maybe been a wee bit too foolhardy and not really given much thought to how we apply ourselves. And now, as a result of that, we're now in this situation where we're, you know, our success is almost being tempered by, you know, it's been not tempered, it's been dampened, because we're putting all this energy into something that's not really going anywhere. You know what I mean? Let me know what you think. Emmy's got the full. So, right, so where Heather had the full and then the 7. Emmy, you started out with... What did you start out with? I will find it. The 3 of Wands, that's right. Okay, so the 3 of Wands, and the 3 of Wands we usually, in fact, yeah, you're using the Centennial and a 10, so you're using a classic Smith weight. So 3 of Wands, we see the person standing on the cliff edge, just looking out, surveying what's happening, but not actually taking part, not actually doing anything. And then the Fool, we see them then, so it's telling a story, isn't it? We see the person then jumping. We see the person kind of taking a leap of faith. To me, that's like, right, we're getting involved now. We're getting our hands dirty. We're getting actively involved in the things that maybe your ancestors or you previously have surveyed from a distance. So I suppose that's exciting. Time to step into my next phase. Nice. Your soul is traveling the world right now, Chris, connecting with all of us. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Both are blindfolded. That's a good point, Marita. Yeah. So that it makes me think that they're both in this kind of a stage where it's like it's not much has happened from one to the other. The only thing that's happened is the swords have multiplied. So it's like the thoughts and the anxieties and the things that you're thinking about, the overthinking has ramped up, but not much about the position has changed. Maybe went from seated to standing, but it's standing still and not really going anywhere, you know. Oh, that's Chris. Hi, Chris. How you doing? R times 14 over 21. Bad day for divinity. R times 14 out of 21. Oh, reversed 14 and 1. Right, I've got you. You're talking about my cards. Sorry, that took me way too long. Love it as I'm sitting here planning my racing. Right, okay. So that is definitely taking that leap. They're also both by the sea. Yeah. Reverse. So sorry, it just took me a minute. Okay, card 3. And Chris, if you want to join in, I've been putting the positions on the chat. So the Calavera, or the skull. So this is about embracing mortality and living fully. And the questions to ask ourselves here are: how can I more fully embrace life and its impermanence? I thought I said impertinence there. Life and its impermanence. What fears or attachments prevent me from living authentically? So how can I, another reversed, 7 of Swords reversed? Oh, come on. I feel like my ancestors are just taking the absolute piss out of me here. Go rob a bank, Chris. That's what to do. The next one's going to be reversed as well. Right, okay, so I'm starting to think that, so let's look at the reading as though it was upright, but then just kind of generally apply a bit of a block. You know, we can just assume that things are a bit blocked for me, okay? But we're starting out with temperance, and that's kind of it deals with the idea of balance and imbalance, and what type of person was this ancestor, or was I? We then have the world, which represents the here and the now, and kind of says, look, you're the things that you're doing are good, like you're right where you need to be, that type of thing. The Seven of Swords. So how can we embrace life more fully? Seven of Swords energy. When it's reversed, I do tend to kind of look at it, and it's more like harsher, like there maybe is a wee bit of a dishonest element to this, but at its core for me, the Seven of Swords is about going out, thinking outside the box, doing things differently. Particularly not being afraid of what other people will say and how other people will judge. And sure, sometimes that does, sometimes that mentality leads people to do things that are objectively wrong. Stealing, for example, and all sorts of other things. But at its core, it raises the question about, like, okay, like, is there a way that we can approach this situation that's not necessarily the traditional way, that's not how you would necessarily have first thought to do it? Can we think outside the box? Can we brainstorm a wee bit, and can we approach this differently? I think that's like, so I suppose it's just about like approaching life differently then to apply it to the position. What fears or attachments prevent me from living authentically? The judgment of other people, what other people will think about like what I'm doing. I suppose I do this. I've been doing this channel now for for over 5 years now, actually. And still most of the people in my life don't know that I do it. And that's for fear of judgment and for fear of like people thinking, well, whatever they might think. And that's probably really unfair to them as well as to myself. So basically, in a nutshell, I need to give less fucks, I think, is the point. Okay. Life is impertinent, says Marita. Cavalier, so Queen of Swords for Beth, the Queen of Swords. So you need to impart some of that knowledge, some of that juicy, amazing knowledge that you have built up. You need to pass that on to someone else, pass that wisdom on. That doesn't mean to say that you need to be all touchy-feely and all like kind of giving out hugs and stuff. You can totally do that in a way that's authentic for you. But it feels like you've got a lot of wisdom to give, Beth, and now's the time for you to think about doing that. We've got the Five of Cups for Donna. So if we're looking at this as an advice card, then I would probably say the Five of Cups, when you look at the image, they do feel like they are very focused and honed in on what's not gone so well. And whilst that is an important part of any process, I think we do need to also see the bigger picture. We do need to see those two cups that are standing. Now, I would, if anybody was to say, oh, like, you're like, stop focusing on the negative and focus on the positive, I don't think that's quite right. But I do think we need to look holistically at everything. So yeah, look at the positives as well as the negatives. My brain just went dead, sorry. Yeah, that's that's what I would say with that. Turn around and see those two cups that are still standing, Donna. Okay, the Emperor, the Two of Swords, the Eight of Swords, and the Emperor. The thing about the emperors, they can be quite harsh, can't they? They can be very direct and very to the point, and they'll call things out. Sometimes they can be a wee bit cruel and unfeeling, but sometimes that's what's needed. Sometimes you just need someone to take a good no nonsense look at the situation and call it for what it is. And it feels like that's maybe what is needed here. If you want to embrace life more fully, Marita, if you want to kind of get yourself out of that kind of a stalemate, if you want to rip off that blindfold and move on from whatever it is that you find yourself in, then you need to have that tough love conversation with yourself, like the Emperor would. Okay. Um, and that might be you having that conversation with yourself. It might be grabbing a deck of cards that you know is particularly like abrupt and direct and to the point, or it might be going to someone who you know will be no nonsense, take no bullshit, they will call things for what they are. It might be actually going to another person that you know will embody that emperor for you. But it feels like it needs a good no nonsense look at the situation. That would be my take on that. Chris is saying self-trust. People forget the tarot is a self-driving tool. It has to be relevant to one and many. Is that one of your cards, Chris? Or are you looking at mine or someone else's reading? Focus way too much on loss. Okay. So that's your 5 of Cups. I often read the 7 of Swords as resourcefulness, which includes thinking outside the box, says Beth. Yeah, definitely. Well, now I've got the 2 of Wands. So maybe balance some planning with my cliff jumping, just enough so that my anxiety doesn't ruin the fun. Yeah, true. It could also be about like kind of taking a bit of a step back. Sometimes the best way to take you need to take one step back to then take 2 steps forward sometimes. So yeah, it might be that you need to see this 3 of Wands situation that either like kind of makes you feel uncomfortable or it feels like it needs work. Maybe it's about going back and surveying that from an objective perspective, you know. Because that's the way that I see the Wands, the journey through the Wands. The 2 is like the planning and preparation before the 3, which is taking action. And I know in the Rider-Waite's my 3 of Wands, it looks like not much action is being taken. But that, to me, I see those ships as being like that's that person's energy that they're then sending out into the world. That's my way of like making that make sense. But for me, the 3 is about like right now we're doing the thing. You know, it links to the Empress, which is creation. It's stuff's being done, shit's been made real, in the 3s. And yeah, it might be that it's asking you to kind of take a bit of a step back, back before that and look at it from an outsider's point of view. I love the Lightseer's 2 of Wands because you see someone who's like looking at maps and like mind maps and stuff like that. I can't remember what it is that they're looking at, but they're clearly making a plan. They're planning their journey out. Do you know what I mean? Jen, King of Pentacles. So with the 9 of Pence, then the 6 of Swords, and then the King of Pentacles for your living life more. So that's kind of it feels like your way of. So for lots of us, like for me, for example, I feel like my cards are telling me, like, right, you need to stop giving fucks about what other people think. You need to grab life by the horns and just, or grab life by the whatever life has got, and just do it, kind of a thing. Whereas it feels like with your 9 of Pentacles and like kind of even the 6 of Swords, what that's hinting about, what's been before, like it feels like you've come through a lot, you've done a lot, you've worked your backside off to get to where you are, and almost your way of living life fully and enjoying life is actually to take a bit more of that king stance. It's to slow the pace a wee bit and just enjoy the things that, enjoy your kingdom, enjoy the things that you've worked hard to build. And it's not so much for you now to be, like knocking your pan in, like making all the things work. It's your job to kind of oversee, to delegate and to oversee and to make sure that things are ticking along. But enjoy that. I think the key for me is that you need to enjoy what you've already worked hard to build. Five of Cups, see from different perspectives. Yeah. I think it's interesting that after the two blindfold cards, the Emperor has the power of vision. Yeah. The Emperor take the direct route from point A to point B. Chris has got Sun, the King of Swords, and then Judgment. So the Sun for the kind of a past influences, excuse me, there's a real sense of kind of a joy and accomplishment and sense of self that's coming from the Sun. Right now, the King of Swords indicates that you're in a place of... So the Sun offers clarity. The Sun, the light of the Sun, like shows up, all situations for what they are, which is a blessing. It's a really good thing. It's a great thing. But when we get overly analytical and overly kind of a intellectual, when we intellectualize things, sometimes that directness, that light of the Sun, it's kind of like a magnifying glass where you kind of concentrate the Sun's light onto something and it can become destructive. It feels like that's maybe what's happening with your King of Swords. It's like honing too much in on things. Too much of a good thing can be a bad thing, that type of thing. So Judgment is like, it could be like, well, use your discretion, use your judgment. But also I think of Judgment as being the card about like kind of drawing a line under things. If there's been difficult situations in the past, or if there's something difficult that you're working through just now, let's kind of draw a line in the sand. Let's deal with it. Let's deal with the stuff and learn the lessons, but let's move on from it and not let it kind of hold us back, that type of thing. So I suppose that how do you live life more fully? By drawing a line in the sand and moving on from the things that kind of hold you down and hold you back. Jen, you're all over the place. Enjoy gifting to others. Yeah, I know that. I've seen some of the amazing gifts that you've sent to people, the things that you've found for people. I know what an amazing person you are. But maybe you need to direct some of that inward. Maybe you need to kind of turn some of that generosity on yourself. Crystal Magic Tarot for context, says Chris. So you're using the Crystal Magic Tarot. What time are we on? We're on 11:15. So we're making good time. I've got one card left, and that is the Marigold Path. So this is guidance and a future blessing. What have I got? Ace of Swords. Okay, so the questions we want to be asking ourselves here are: what guidance or blessings are available to me from the spirit world? Oh, hi Jojo. By the way, Jojo has joined us on Insta. What guidance or blessings are available to me from the spirit world? What is the next step that I should take on my path? So Ace of Swords for me, well, for one thing, we're going from this Seven of Swords. This person's carrying 7 swords, and notice that they've got their hand around the blade section of the swords. So this to me is a bit of a like, right, pick one thing. Stop trying. You're going to end up cutting yourself if you keep trying to do all of these things at once. Pick one and do that. So kind of like, see what I was saying when was it Beth? Was it you that pulled the 10 and the 2 of Pentacles? Kind of a similar vibe to that, where it's like pick one thing and do that really well. But also, like, the aces are new beginnings, yeah. And swords is our mentality. It's how we kind of see the world. It's how we understand the world. So a new perspective. Look at things from a fresh perspective. And the Ace of Swords is the sword that kind of cuts through all the bullshit, you know. So as I say, because all of my cards are reversed, there is a sense of like being blocked. There's a sense of kind of a blocking myself in a particular place, and not letting myself move on to the next natural place. So that to me would be an additional message that I would kind of take from this reading, and I would try and kind of work through. Yeah, what did you guys get? Love my spread so far. Lightsaber energy, says Chris. So done it again. Marigold, the 10 of Cups. That's a lovely message to end on. That's your future blessing. So that's like, to me, that's like living your soul purpose. You know, living your soul purpose, and just a real sense of accomplishment and fulfillment. So that's beautiful. That's a really nice card to end on, Beth. So Heather, you've got the 9 of Wands. 9 of Wands as your future blessing. I think, given what we'd said about the Fool and the 7 of Pentacles, the 9 of Wands might actually be telling you, do you know what? See if you don't change anything, and if you keep going down this route, you might actually feel you're going to get burned out quite quickly. So the 9 of Wands is, for me, a card that says, like, you know, no one can take away from everything that you've accomplished, but there's no doubt you've been burnt along the way by all that fiery energy. You know, you've got the scars to prove what you've been through. And that can sometimes lead to us feeling quite triggered and defensive about things. So to me, that's like a blessing in disguise, I know, but it's kind of like saying, like, you know, if you keep that 7 of Pentacles reversed, I think is the key, is the thing that's saying, like, you know, all of that energy, everything that you're doing, that you're putting in, and you're getting very little back from it. If you keep doing that, you're going to burn yourself out, and you're going to feel so scunnered and so fed up with the situation. There needs to be a change, I guess. There needs a change in direction. And it, like, your World card is how you can live life more fully. Like, the World is like it's the culmination of everything that you've worked hard to build. But it's also, remember that Saturn links to the World, and Saturn is all about, like, kind of it's what he's at the end of the tarot he's at the end of the major arcana for a reason, because he represents, like, just bringing order to things. It's like the heart, you know, the cutting down in order to harvest type thing. I might be getting my metaphors mixed up here, but there's definitely a sense of needing to be more strict for yourself when it comes to Saturn. I think he brings the strictness, and I think, if I remember rightly, the 7 of Pentacles is Saturn and Taurus. So very Saturnal reading for you. So yeah, if I were you, I would be looking at where you're directing your energy, Heather, and I would be thinking, right, is there something that I can do to, you know, to do a bit of a redirect? Yeah. That's how that hits me. I appreciate you might see it differently. So Donna, we're ending on Judgment reversed. Judgment reversed. Emperor, Strength, the Five of Cups, and Judgment reverse. So I think that's just rehashing that need to take a holistic view of everything. You can't just look at the spilled cups, but equally you can't just look at the full cups. It needs to be a, if you want to kind of move on from that place of disappointment and sadness, and that place that the Five of Cups represents, then there needs to be a bit of an inventory of everything, an appreciation for everything, and what lessons have I learned from those 3 spilled cups, and then what lessons have I still got to learn from the 2 cups that are still full. And because if Judgment is in reverse for me, it's like, right, well, we're trying to move on, but we're still taking some of that shit forward. It's like trying to move on from an old relationship, but still keeping their number in your phone. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not judging anyone that does that. Like, if you can do that and still kind of move yourself on in the way that you need to, then fair enough. But it's like, it's still kind of clinging on, or you have an argument with somebody and then you kind of have a conversation and you clear the air and you say, right, you both agree to, like, you're moving on, you're drawing a line, but then secretly you're still resenting what they did, or you're still annoyed at them, or there's still some stuff that you've not quite worked through. That to me is Judgment reversed. So I feel like that, if you look at that as like a message from the future, if you will, for me, it's like asking you to really think about that Five of Cups situation and think about, are you kind of addressing everything, the spilled cups and the full cups, and be careful about trying to move forward without addressing everything, Reversal King now. I know all of my cards have come up reversed. Annoyingly, the next card in the pile is upright. But oh well, I guess we were doing reversed. Jen, you've got the Seven of Pentacles. 7 of Pentacles. I think that's just asking you to trust that what you've put in, that there's going to be something come of it. That there's going to be a return on investment. So trust that there's going to be a return on investment. So the energy that you've put in now, and you're kind of you're in your King of Pentacles throne. You're kind of sitting back, relaxing. You need to trust that abundance is going to come your way at the right time, or to switch and use a different metaphor. You've worked hard, you're baking a loaf of bread, you've worked hard on the dough, you've kneaded it, you've let it rise, you've let it proof, is that the word? You've done everything, and now you've put it in the oven. Now you need to stay away from that oven until, you need to give that the right amount of time. Don't be tempted to go back to the oven and open it and look and close it and then open it again and then look, because you're letting all the heat out and the bread won't bake and it'll end up a big mess. Now is the time to trust that at the end of the process, you're going to get this beautiful loaf of bread, and you've got a nice kind of a nice fancy butter in the fridge that you're just waiting to use on that bread, freshly baked. You've got to trust that you're going to get that beautiful loaf out of the oven. There we go. I did shuffle. I believe you. Marita. 5 of Wands. Gee, thanks. Maybe the 5 of Wands isn't such a bad thing, though. When, 2 of Swords and 8 of Swords, it's such a kind of everything, everyone's being people-pleased. Everything's just kind of there's nothing controversial happening because there's nothing happening at all. Whereas in comes your Emperor with his Aries fiery energy, and he's calling somebody a C word, and he's, calling things out for what they are. And sure, there's going to be a bit of Five of Wands, there's going to be a wee bit of controversy, there's going to be a wee bit of like, competition, like rivalry, all that kind of a thing. But maybe that's what the situation needs. It needs a wee bit of spice. Injected into it. So yeah, maybe the block of your cards points to some processing of your past life session. You could be absolutely right, Heather, because I think that I'm going to have to do. One of the things that actually came out of it is that I need to write more, I need to journal more. And that was one of the things that I said whilst I was in the session, it was about writing, like writing on paper. So Kelly did say, I think you need to journal. It feels spot on. That's good. Good. Time wise, I think we need to wrap it up. Oh yeah, you're right, because it's 3 minutes to 11. So yeah, Chris has got the King's Swords, Judgment, and then the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so you just need to trust the universe, Chris, and trust that the universe has your back, I think, don't you? A bad influence, I know. Life always has my back, says Jen. Oh, thanks. I love a wee food analogy. Have to take my little Emperor, Bodhi the dog, outside now. Thank you so much, Chris Byall. You're very welcome, Beth, and everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you've enjoyed this. Take pictures and post your spread in the group. I know that I'm not always the best at remembering to. I'll need to make sure that I remember to. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this wee spread. I'm going to have to, I think, maybe I should just start as I mean to go on. Maybe I should journal this and think about what wisdom it's offering me. Right, everyone, thanks so much. I'm going to love you and leave you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care.